Hello, everybody. This is another episode of the SLTD Going Over Big Time podcast. I am Fantastic, along with Mike. Once again, we're going to talk about our WrestleMania 40 predictions. Before we begin, if you're watching on video and occasionally if you hear background noises, I am having dinner right now, so this might be a first eating while recording a episode. I will try to mute myself as much as I can so not interrupt Mike's free flowing thoughts about whatever he has on his mind about what in the hell is happening with WrestleMania. So, Mike, the last time we talked about this, what's going on with WWE, we were discussing how it was seemingly that Cody Rhodes had freely given away his WrestleMania opportunity to The Rock and how stupid such a decision was. Well, it's been a few. It's been about a week and a half, and things have kind of shifted a bit. And if they didn't shift dramatically, because it's Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns is back on. The Rock has reappeared on the scene. I'm not talking about his latest board seat at TKO. I am talking about him being back on screen as a character again. Some of us were a little surprised at kind of where he was going with this, but maybe not. Um, but overall, what do you think is going on here? And why don't you offer your thoughts while I look like I need to fix my camera?
So yeah, we talked about the fan reaction to all of that and how it was very negative. And yeah, I think they did the right thing by pivoting and going back to what the fans actually want to see. Um, I mean, obviously, there's been numerous reports on what the original plan was, and that there was plans in place months in advance for The Rock to face Roman Reigns, which brought into question why did Cody win the Rumble then, if that was always the plan, and then just this groundswell of we don't want to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns for a championship, and we do want to see Cody finish the story. And this is the time to do it, and there is no other time. We don't want to
Well,
wait until SummerSlam. We don't want to wait till an MSG show. We don't want to wait till an Atlanta show. We want it now.
yeah, it would be just really stupid. I know our faith in WWE has been really bruised the last couple of years, but it would be really stupid if they didn't capitalize on this on the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania. I mean, it's a significant number. We're coming up to almost the 10th anniversary of the Daniel Bryan situation, as I would describe it, where the
Mm-hmm.
last time the fans hijacked the storyline or hijacked the plans and they forced the quote unquote management and or production to or booking to go with a different creative direction.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of similarities have been put forward between Daniel Bryan and Cody Rhodes at this point. Um, the Rock's re-entry into this storyline is quite interesting. We were all thought, you know, that this was going to. We were look. You have spoken numerous times about how WrestleMania 39 Cody should have won the title, which would have led to the build up to 40 this year, Roman Reigns versus The Rock.
Yep.
But it seems now that they're moving towards not a match between Roman and The Rock, but more of an alliance, an on-screen alliance. The Rock came
Yes.
out at that, explosive Thursday press conference in Las Vegas,
That
which,
wasn't a press conference.
oh, sorry, it was a sort of a kickoff So for
Yeah.
WrestleMania,
Well, they originally billed it as a press conference,
yeah,
and
you're right. And
and
then
then they stopped calling it a press conference and called it a kickoff
we
conference.
basically got a free like a mini in
It was a
between
half
show.
hour of promos. It was a
Yeah,
half
half hour
hour of promos.
promos. But
And of
yeah, The
course
Rock
the
came
stuff
back.
with Cody. Yeah.
Yeah, The Rock came back, and Roman Reigns at that event basically said he was gonna face The Rock, even though it's not his decision to decide. It's the guy who won the Royal Rumble to decide. The
Yep.
Rock comes out, and well, he said he want to face The Rock. The Rock comes out and decided to remind all of us what this was all about. He turns around, and what would have been a green screen showed a picture of the literal bloodline, a massive
Hmm.
family tree dating back to the Rock's grandfather, the High Chief Hito Maivia, and I guess Roman Reigns' grandfather from the Anoa'i family.
Hmm.
We basically saw everybody that had any association with the bloodline,
Except
even
Umaga's son.
oh, okay. Uh,
Umaga's son was not on there,
oh, that's
which
interesting.
was
I mean, they caught. I mean, I missed that, but just knowing that they caught like literally almost everybody, including like
yeah.
in-laws, just
Yes.
by marriage they happen to be part of the bloodline. Because I was telling you offline, Gary Albright at first. I was like, wait, who is
Yeah.
that again? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, everybody from like Naomi to Jacob Batu to like fucking
Hmm.
uh Deuce, the guy with
Of
like six
course.
names is part of the
Yes.
bloodline. Yeah, so if this was like done in the way where it built up to this feud, it would have made more sense. But it's just like, you know, it seemed it came off as like, okay, you guys were Roman and Rock gonna face each other, but it looks like this is more of a friendly competition. And then out comes Cody. Cody does his thing. Cody says this is complete crap. Basically said to both of them, I don't know what kind of head of the table you guys are. I mean, you haven't. Nobody's been cooking in the kitchen the last 2 years. And then obviously the slap heard around the universe. Um,
Hmm.
Basically, Will Smith's slap at Chris Rock was nothing compared to this slap. And I don't know why they held Cody back. I mean, these are professional wrestlers. This is a
Well,
par for the
because
course.
they're not supposed to be fighting. It's a kickoff event.
Yeah, a kick-off event. Like, yeah, they weren't supposed to slap each other. Maybe they were supposed to kick each other in the head. So maybe that was
Uh-huh.
the missing piece. But yeah, so um, I should mention, by the way, yes, the world heavyweight champion Seth Rollins was also on stage and just kind of was almost relegated.
Sat in the background and made comments like it was Mystery Science Theater.
He looked like he was such a minuscule character. I am stunned that this is a man who has held that title for over 260 plus days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it seems, Mike, what is happening is going to be night one WrestleMania. Rock teaming the tribal chief teaming with High Chief Rock, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, multi
Hmm.
mega movie star versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Um,
Yes. So I fully expect that that's going to happen. I don't think that they're going to do this tag match at Elimination Chamber because even though Elimination Chamber is supposed to be this big show in Australia in a stadium, um, I don't think Seth is going to be physically ready, and B, I just don't see them actually doing that. Um, but also that comes into question, like, is Roman willing to work 2 nights in a row? For the story, I would think he has to. Um, and I would say that, like, what makes the most sense is for Rock and Roman to win that match to cast doubt over Cody winning on night 2 for the championship. Um, because if you just have Cody win both matches, then this was a waste of time. Um,
do you think Roman, the guy, like the performer, like backstage, wants to do 2 nights in a row? for the good of this
Um,
show, or because I think there would be a lot of eyes drawn if Roman was on 2 nights in a row.
so that's my main concern is if they're going to do this tag match and they're not going to do it at Chamber, he has to work 2 nights in a row. He has to. Um, because if Rock is working on the show, then they got to do this match. Um, because Rock cannot have a singles match. He can't. He needs to have a tag match. Obviously we've talked numerous times about how The Rock is sucking wind after a spine buster. Literally, like he like the cardio is not there anymore. And I mean the guy is 51, so makes sense. But yeah, they have to do this tag match. All of the promotion that they've been doing since then, they released a trailer for WrestleMania, and it's literally this tag match. That's what it is. It's this tag match. They have to do it. Um, so I fully expect that they will do it, and that's why I have it on the card that I put together. Um, but yeah, and I like I said, I think the best thing that you could do there is have The Rock and Roman winning that match by, unfortunately, by pinning Seth. Well, actually, no. You should pin Cody in this match. You should pin Cody in this match to cast doubt about him beating Roman. But don't have Roman pin Cody. Have The Rock pin Cody. And then you
Yeah,
go,
because if you have The Rock do it, it
yeah,
also casts out on. It makes Roman look kind of weak, and
yes,
the way that kickoff show ended, it was like Roman went from being the tribal chief to almost looking like a sidekick to like
hmm,
the high chief coming back. I mean, it was
yeah,
like The Rock was mouthing off at Triple H, telling him, "You need to fix this. You know,
yeah.
this kind of crap shouldn't be happening. I'll break his fucking teeth in
And
or something."
then Triple H did that promo on Smackdown, it basically implying that The Rock does not run the show, he does. And he didn't say The Rock's name, but we all knew who he was implying. And people have said that, oh, but you say that when he's not here, but when he was there, you didn't say anything. Um, Obviously, this is not leading to The Rock versus Triple H. Triple H is never going to be cleared ever again because he has a heart condition. But yeah, I'm excited for this tag match. Honestly, if that I want to see the how the dynamic is between both teams, and yeah, I want to see The Rock and Roman working together. I want to see Cody and Seth working together. I want to see how Rock looks in the match in general, because obviously what we all expect is them to have this match and then go into night two where Seth is going to be in Cody's corner or some form of it uh after probably losing the world title, which we'll talk about later. But um and then uh make sure that the bloodline can't get involved. And obviously we've talked about like the quote unquote Avengers Endgame style of this finish,
Yeah,
where they try to do the same old shtick with Roman stuff, and you have Sami Zayn, and you have even Drew McIntyre,
yeah,
who
yeah. So Drew set the table very clearly in that promo a few weeks ago. Trying to congratulating Cody on picking Roman because, or did he say something else? But he was basically saying, you pick Roman again, you know what's gonna happen. His fucking family's gonna interfere, and it's the same
yeah,
finish. But
Yeah, so but and
yeah,
then
so
you'll also have, like, everybody will be there, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn,
yeah,
everybody who's had a run-in with the Bloodline in the last 3 years, Jey
yeah,
Uso, um, and then I think even after all of that happens, The Rock is going to realize the error of his ways and see that, like, "Oh, okay, this guy needs to be stopped. He's not the head of the family, I am." And then Roman will lose, and that will set up the year-long build to Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania 41. As we all expect to happen, it needs to happen at some point, but there does not need to be a belt. And that has been the crux of this entire thing. The reason that there was such an uh, outpour of negative reaction to them having that match, because there is no need for The Rock, a man who has not had a full length match in 11 years, to be going for a championship of any kind.
yeah,
And because he is The Rock.
yeah. Literally, the title they fight over is not the WWE Championship. It's even more important. It's the head of the table. It's like what
Yes.
it's like what they did at Hell in a Cell early on in Roman's this run he's had with Jey Uso. Like the winner gets the lay put on him as a tribal chief or whatever it is.
Yeah, and the whole idea, and again, we've talked about this numerous times. The whole idea is Roman doesn't need to be a champion anymore, and it will no longer seem agonizing for him to show up every time, because he won't have a belt anymore. So we don't have to wait for the champion to show up every 4 months.
Mm.
That's the main issue here.
The whole Avengers Endgame idea is also pretty appropriate considering as far as we know now. I know we're 2 months away. There
Yeah.
isn't anything for LA Knight. There's nothing for AJ Styles that I can see on the horizon,
Yeah.
or Kevin Owens. Um,
Mhm.
Jay and Jimmy, I do see something which we'll probably get
Well,
into.
yeah, I have pretty much something
Yeah.
down for all of those people,
Um,
but obviously
yeah,
we
but
don't
I'm
get everything
saying
right, but
this particular um suggested finish would be something that would be a good filler for to slot some of these guys in if they've got nothing to do at WrestleMania.
yeah.
Not that I'm saying LA Knight doesn't deserve a WrestleMania match. I'm just saying right now I don't see one that's like he's deeply invested in. So
Yeah.
unless you stick him in like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, whatever. But I'm not sure
Mhm.
how important that is. But yeah, you said you had a bunch of
Well,
predictions written down, so why don't we get into that? And then
okay. Well, obviously, the SmackDown Women's Championship is set, so that's on the card. Bailey versus Io. Um, I think we all pretty much expect that match to be pretty good, and hopefully for Bailey to win. Um, so as for the other championship, other women's championship, I think we all know where this is going. They've been laying the groundwork for this for months. Um, it's gonna be Rhea Ripley defending against Becky Lynch. Um, so they are having the women's elimination chamber match to determine who will face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and the participants announced before SmackDown tonight, as of time of recording, were Becky, Bianca, and Liv Morgan, and I believe Naomi is in now, as far as I know. Time of recording, I haven't looked at the SmackDown results yet. So, um, but either way, Becky is winning this match. We all know Becky is winning this match, and she's going to face Rhea, and it's going to be one of the biggest matches that has ever happened at a WrestleMania. You have possibly the biggest star in the history of women's wrestling and the biggest star in today's roster in Rhea Ripley, who the has been the person on Raw. Not just she's been the person, not just the best woman on the show. She's been the best, like, all around. Other than if you're not counting Gunther, obviously, but she's the best, and she's still very young. She's got all this talent in every aspect of this. It's Rhea is the best, and I think this match is going to be crazy good because they're gonna have great chemistry in the ring, and they're gonna put on a hell of a match. What I don't want to happen is for them to have like 4 of these. I want them to have one, and then you don't have a rematch for a while. Um, the question is, does Becky beat her? And I am not sure, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm very up in the air about that right now.
Rhea's coming up to her 1 year anniversary as the champion.
Since
And
beating Charlotte, yes.
yeah, normally statistically, whether it's here or in other companies, when you hit the 1 year mark, you're kind of looking to change it. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Becky won the title at WrestleMania, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like Rhea's been pushed to just this dominant position.
Yeah.
Like, um, I would have to say her match coming up with Nia Jax at Elimination Chamber is probably like the biggest, not I mean literally and figuratively, biggest
Yeah.
challenge Rhea has faced since becoming the champion. I mean, some of her
Mm-hmm.
challengers, you know, it goes like when you put it up in front of her, it was like there's no question
Yeah.
Rhea's winning this. Even that like multi women match at Crown Jewel, it was just like yeah, it's Rhea.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge fan of Nia Jax. I don't think most people are, but the run she's been on recently has been um it has been fine because they're accentuating the positives like you're supposed to. And she's going into this match as this heel that nobody likes, and Rhea, who is supposed to be a heel but is so over with the crowd and obviously is going to be the most popular person at Elimination Chamber by far,
Yeah.
um, is going to. I'm interested to see how that match goes because obviously we all know Rhea's winning, but I'm interested to see how they have how that match plays out. And of course, I think what they're probably going to do. I don't know if Rhea will be in the main event of Elimination Chamber. She might, but um, obviously they'll set this up at that show with Becky after Becky has won the Chamber and Rhea has defended, and they'll do a stare down either to close the show or I assume it probably will close the show. But
Well,
yeah,
so
I
far she and Naya surprisingly are the only two Australians booked
yeah.
on the card as far as I know. I mean,
Bronson Reed was in a
well,
qualifying match which
yeah,
he lost.
I'm still a little stunned by that. Like, oh wait,
I
not
mean, there's been talk online that his wife is due soon. So that apparently is a thing as to why he's not on the card. But Grayson Waller currently isn't booked either. Um, I assume he's gonna have like some kind of talk show segment.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Becky versus Rhea a lot. I think that match is going to be amazing. So another match that I think we all pretty much expect to happen is Jay Uso versus Jimmy Uso.
Mm,
Um, they didn't really do anything in the Rumble except be 1 and 2. So we I think everybody pretty much expected that Jimmy was going to eliminate Jay, and that did not happen at all. I mean, they barely interacted after they were 1 and 2. Um, and then Jimmy was just trying to pal up with everybody in the Rumble and just eating a finisher every time. And Jay just got eliminated randomly, and they just didn't. It was very surprising that they did not factor into each other's eliminations in the Rumble. And they also have not acknowledged each other since, because Jay is going for the IC title, and hopefully he doesn't win that, because you shouldn't have Gunther lose the longest reigning Intercontinental reign on a random Raw before Elimination Chamber, because Gunther can't travel to outside of the
yeah,
United States
yeah,
right now.
he's not gonna be at the chamber.
Yeah,
Yeah, there hasn't been much interaction between the Usos other than in that brief moment in the Rumble. And yeah, even
yeah,
in the Rumble, you mentioned like Jay was just trying to pal around with everybody, and we
Jimmy.
mentioned offline. Oh,
Yeah,
Jimmy, sorry, Jimmy was just palling around with all the other competitors. And basically, he looked. You and I talked about it. He looks kind of I mean, he looked kind of stupid with him trying to do it. It's like so.
yeah.
Like he was supposed to be the. It's so funny. I remember just a few years ago, he was the brother everybody was talking about, and it ended up being Jay. So I feel like maybe this upcoming IC title match Jay has on Raw,
hmm
Jimmy might sneak in and like do some interference again.
Well, it obvious. I mean, that's very possible, considering
They
the
need to
brand
figure
split
out some way to
does
set
not
this up.
matter.
Yeah, it is clearly demonstrating with these elimination chamber qualifying matches and other matches that it's like whatever. The brand split is there until it isn't. Uh, so
Yeah.
it's like yeah, I think Jimmy will sneak in, interfere, something cost Jay, and then maybe you know what? Maybe I'll just do a segment on the Grayson Waller effect, and
hmm
match up for WrestleMania that way. But
Yeah. So I mean, we've all pretty much expected that when Jay went to Raw, we all knew the reason was to keep the Usos away from each other so that they could build to this match, because they weren't going to spend 6 months feuding into a match at WrestleMania. They just had to not acknowledge each other for a while, and then the Royal Rumble is where they first meet for the first time in all that time, and now we're here. So I'm sure they're going to do something along those lines, and yeah, and I'm sure the match will be fine, because uh, obviously they're twins. They can't have better chemistry with anybody else except each other. So I'm sure they'll have a great match. Um, so yeah, I fully expect that match to happen. I think everybody pretty much expects that match to happen.
yeah,
Um,
the one thing we haven't brought up yet, and I don't know if you were going to segue into this, the outcome. So I actually expect Jimmy to win, not by
mhm.
himself, because we have
Well,
a
Solo's probably going to be there.
yeah, but I'm not talking about solo. I'm talking more about somebody much closer to Jimmy that Jimmy might actually listen to, and that's his wife, Naomi.
Yeah.
Naomi returned at the Royal Rumble, uh, having just completed her stint as Trinity over on TNA Wrestling. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, as of a few weeks ago, she was still on TNA Impact, even though she signed to WWE.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's returned. I haven't checked the SmackDown results yet, but I have noticed she is not on in the Elimination Chamber match.
I'm pretty sure she had a qualifier today.
Okay. So I haven't gotten the update yet. I'm not expecting Naomi to win the Elimination Chamber qualifier. But
Uh-huh.
we did earlier mention that Naomi's name is on the family tree of the bloodline, so we've acknowledged that She is
Yes.
obviously family. She's even been married to Jimmy for several years now.
Yeah.
So I fully expect some kind of presence that Naomi's gonna have in
Hmm.
this brother versus brother grudge match.
Yes, I could
And
see that because I don't expect her to have a prominent match on the
yeah,
card.
yeah. And I'm not and no disrespect, but her gimmick in Trinity in TNA was basically the same that she had in WWE. And then when she came back at the Rumble, it was the same thing. Um, it's getting kind of like, I mean, right now on Raw and SmackDown, there are already a number of more popular baby faces, female. You got
Yeah,
Bianca, Becky, lesser extent like Liv Morgan, and even Rhea herself is kind of tweening in between. So
yeah.
just another baby face is kind of like not really adding to anything. So and we haven't seen Naomi in a heel role, to my recollection, ever. Like she was the
Team
punk
Bad, Team
that was
Bad.
so like brief that I barely remembered her being a heel in that. It's like
Yeah, they.
yeah,
She was teaming with Tamina for a while.
I acknowledge that happened, but I don't even remember if she even acted like a heel. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I mean, she did all this stuff with like neon glow sticks and lighting, and her entrance is like it's hard to not cheer for that. And then, but yeah, I'm definitely expecting them to play off the relationship with her husband Jimmy at
yeah.
WrestleMania,
I could see that.
and leading
Um,
to some kind of bloodline involvement post
yeah,
WrestleMania 40.
yeah. I don't know how long these Uso singles runs are gonna go. Obviously, I mean, if you would have asked me years ago, I would have told you that I never ever expect them to split up ever. And now here we are. So yeah, I think that it makes the most sense for Jimmy to win for that reason, I guess, because Jay has kind of been the guy that's been on the singles run, whereas Jimmy has just remained a lackey, even though he was the first one to turn on Roman, and that didn't seem to matter. um, so yeah, we'll see about that, but the next match and the men's elimination chamber match is official. All the participants have been announced. It's so it's Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Logan Paul.
Continue.
Um, I had the graphic and I lost it. Hold on. Oh, all right. Kevin Owens, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, and Logan Paul. So, out of all of those people, the only one that should be facing Seth is Drew McIntyre. Logan Paul is the US champion. He shouldn't even be in this match. Bobby Lashley is in the middle of a group feud that nobody cares about. Um, Nobody knows what Randy Orton is doing, but I kind of don't want to see him face Seth again, ever again, ever again. That match is on the list of matches I never want to see ever again.
Why don't you want to see Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins here? Was this based on like the was that WrestleMania 31? Okay,
Uh,
I
yeah,
think so because that's what Seth cashed in that night. I remember that.
yes. I've seen Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins so many times, I don't need to see it ever again.
Okay.
Um, LA Knight, he's on SmackDown.
I was like, if that was the only reason, it's still pretty funny. It's like, yeah, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, that LA Knight guy, he's not.
But also, it just wouldn't make sense for them to feud into WrestleMania. And same exact thing with Kevin Owens. Same exact. So then you have Drew, who is the only person that is actually feuding with Seth right now, other than Roman Reigns.
Yeah, like okay, I'm looking at the participants right now. Like, yeah, Logan Paul, what the fuck are you doing there? You probably should have a rematch with Kevin Owens, who, by that extension, probably is not going to win this match.
Why isn't he defending his title?
LA Knight, yeah, you mentioned he's on SmackDown, but whatever. I mean, they could probably just move him to Raw, and I wouldn't have any problem with that. They probably move Miz and Truth over to SmackDown just to like balance things out. Yeah, Randy Orton, no. Bobby Lashley, yeah, you mentioned he's caught up in a feud, his own problem. So yeah, it's like this is like the Elimination Chamber match last year in which Asuka won, because like we looked at the other 5 women and it was pretty obvious like Asuka was on that run. And that match kind of made more sense in terms of booking, in terms of like the last 4 women in the Rumble, and then they had 2 more qualifiers.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like whoever's in this Elimination Chamber match is probably going to end up in our hypothetical Avengers Endgame scenario. It's
I
like
mean, we all know.
KO LA Knight, Randy Orton, and kind of Drew would probably be involved in something like that.
And also, we all know why Logan Paul is in this match, because he's going to do a stupid dive.
Or
Off
it's
chamber.
also for the clicks, because it's one of the most influential people in the
But
fucking
the fact of the matter is, a U.S. champion. The U.S. champion should not be in a number 1 contenders match for the world heavyweight title.
Yeah, wasn't Fury? Wasn't Austin Fury carrying the U.S. title in one of these matches a few years ago? I couldn't remember.
Who cares?
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, but you're right. In principle, a singles champion for another title should not be in a world title qualifying match like this. Like, it would be like sticking. Okay, let's take out Logan Paul. It'd be like sticking Gunther in this match too, because it's like, why? Why? He's
exactly.
I mean, even if he could travel to Australia for this, so
exactly.
yeah,
Why? So either way,
I could think of at least a couple other people that could be more deserving, like even Sami Zayn or
who lost his
Karrion Kross.
qualifying?
Yeah.
Sami Zayn lost his qualifying match to Drew, which
Yeah,
was just bad booking.
Yeah, why didn't they do like a last chance rumble or something like that? I think.
Oh, you mean like the thing that they're doing for the women?
Yeah, the second chance or last chance. I don't.
Well, I know you know why they're doing that
What do
for
you
the
think of
women.
that idea and concept? Like the whole second chance, last chance.
Well, it makes it seem like there's not enough women on the roster when there actually is.
Like, hey, all these losers, like, you get another shot at this.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid, actually. But yeah, Drew is winning this chamber match, and he's going to face Seth, and he's probably going to win.
Yeah. Speaking of Drew, I think we should devote some time to talk about just this amazing character turn that Drew has been on.
Drew is my favorite character on all of WWE right now.
It's like ever since he kind of like or he kind of like owned the whole I torch CM Punk's tricep thing. It's like it's just been nonstop.
He pasted his face on the episode of The Flash where Oliver Queen died, and everybody took a picture with the tombstone. He pasted his face on that and just said, "Here lies CM Punk's WrestleMania dreams." I don't really buy wrestling shirts anymore, but if I did, I would probably buy that one just because of how hilarious it is.
It's still on WWEshop.com as far as I heard.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I'm just talking about Drew McIntyre's Twitter game. It's just been on fire. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, everything he's been doing.
Yeah, some of his content is just like hilariously cracking me up.
My favorite thing now is that ever since he said to CM Punk, "I prayed for this moment," everybody's using that as a response to other things now.
It's like the Tobey Maguire scene in
Yeah.
Spider-Man where he's like praying in the Catholic Church for Peter
Mhm.
Parker to die or whatever, and then the Venom symbiote
Yeah.
comes out and it takes over him.
Uh-huh.
Look at another tweet here. WWE tweeted out um they tweeted out a screenshot of Cody's Instagram saying, "I've made my decision." This was before the kickoff show, the
Oh,
kickoff
yeah.
conference, and Drew just replies with a meme of The Rock from 2002, yelling, "Shut up, bitch!"
Yeah, so Drew has absolutely been killing it. But yeah, there's nobody else that should be facing Seth since the CM Punk injury. Obviously, that was the plan.
Yeah,
It was
but
gonna be
here's the thing. Even with whether it's just I don't know, like what about Sami Zayn being added in making this kind of like a triple
so
threat
I
thing?
would
So,
I would like that, but I just don't know if they will because it just wouldn't make any sense. He hasn't been winning matches, and he lost the elimination chamber qualifier. I mean, of course, that doesn't matter in WWE, but it should. But yeah, I so I have I would be fine with that, but that also defeats the purpose of the chamber match. You can't have a chamber match for a number one contender and then just say like, "Oh, we're just going to throw some other guy in there because he's really shown that he wants it." How like he hasn't been winning at all. He he hasn't won a singles match since like October. You know when the last time Sami Zayn won a singles match on pay-per-view? And I'm not counting kickoff shows. The last time Sami Zayn won a match on a pay-per-view, an actual pay-per-view, a singles match, was against Kevin Owens in 2021.
wow.
That is the last time Sami Zayn won a singles match on an actual pay-per-view. In June of 2021.
Ugh. Yeah,
So,
that's a long losing streak there.
yeah. And like I said, I'm not counting kickoff shows. Kickoff shows do not count as pay per view matches, they count as kickoff matches because that is not on the pay per view. Um, so yeah, Drew has to win here. Obviously, there's still questions about his contract situation. Nothing has been confirmed, obviously, but the way that they've been booking him, it feels like he's signed. Um, but nobody knows. There hasn't been confirmation. There hasn't been anything. Um, am I saying that I would prefer to see Drew go somewhere else? Absolutely. But um,
Well, let's look at the way things have progressed. Royal Rumble, he injures CM Punk's tricep. He then makes a big hay of it on screen.
yeah,
Um, Drew is in this elimination chamber match and is the heavy favorite to win this. He's likely heading to WrestleMania 40 and getting his one-on-one match with Seth once again. Um, Probably gonna walk away with the title. He's
not
gonna
really
go,
being booked like somebody who's leaving.
yeah, he's gonna have a pretty good run and one that he deserves after winning the WWE Championship in front of
I
nobody.
mean, they're also
Um,
probably trying to book him well to entice him to stay
yeah, and meanwhile, you got CM Punk resting and recuperating again. But anyway,
for
um,
6 months.
yeah. By the time SummerSlam rolls around, he should be good to go, and they have this all
That's
packaged
that.
neatly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's there.
Um. Yeah. So I'm excited to see Seth and Drew again, obviously, because they have great matches. Um. And it hasn't been shoved down my throat yet. I think after this match, I could go without seeing it for a while. But yeah. So next up, I guess we'll talk about Gunther now. So the Intercontinental Championship has been as long as since it's been on Gunther, and he's had it for over 600 days, the longest reign in the history of the belt. He is closing in on the most accumulated days ever. I gotta look it up to see when he's gonna hit that, but um, Gunther is absolutely killing it, and I think um, is well on his way to being a main eventer, being in the world title picture, and this reign just solidifies that. So I had a couple of ideas for him. Obviously, some of them are probably more likely than others. The main one is Big E. Now, of course, we don't know anything about whether he's coming back anytime soon or if he's ever going to come back. But if he does, this would be the perfect way to do it because the New Day's kind of been feuding with Imperium on and off, including Jay now. And obviously, Jay is going to move on to something else. And if that feud continues, Kofi and Xavier are going to need a third. And it would just make the most sense for it to be Big E if he is ready to come back. And it would be the biggest thing in the world for him to come back and be the person to end Gunther's reign. That would be amazing. It would be a hell of a moment. Everybody would love it. It would feel like Kofi Mania all over again. So that's the thing that I want the most. But if it doesn't happen, I have two other choices for Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is Braun Breaker
Mm.
because obviously he's on his way to the main roster. We've seen him on Raw and SmackDown talking to both GMs, deciding on where he's going to sign, even though for some reason he's now an NXT Tag Team Champion, which is just like why. When you're putting him on Raw and SmackDown now. And the best way to get somebody to the height that they need to be at right away is to end a reign like that. Um, it would solidify him right away as somebody who is going to be a name for a big name for years to come. And then we talked about him earlier. The other name I have down is Sami Zayn. Because you were talking about how Sami Zayn is kind of being booked to like
Oh yes, I remember this.
he's been doing these sit down promos with Jackie Redmond where he's talking about how he needs to finally get his moment and prove to his family that he is not a failure, and they're doing the whole underdog story with him again. The same story that they did with him in NXT, where he spent all this time trying to become NXT champion and he couldn't do it. And then he finally did it when he beat his friend Neville. And then that was all taken away from him right away when Kevin Owens showed up. So they're kind of doing that again. He's the ultimate underdog again, and he would go into a match with one of the most unbeatable people in the entire world right now. And if he were to win, that would solidify the solidify his wanting to his story in a way. Like I've always been the ultimate underdog, and I proved it by beating the most unbeatable guy. And I think that is probably the most likely out of all the three. Um, Obviously, people want to see Sheamus win it. Nobody knows when he's coming back, but I think the time has passed for that.
Mm.
You could have did it. I mean, obviously they should have did it at Clash of the Castle. That's when they should have did it. Of course, then you wouldn't have the reign that Gunther has now. So part of me thinks that Sheamus can still win the IC title somewhere down the line. He doesn't have to win it from Gunther. Um, but yeah, I think Sami Zayn makes the most sense out of the all out of the. I mean, you could do with triple threat if you want with Braun Breaker, I guess, but the story has to be Sami Zayn overcoming the odds against the unbeatable guy, the unbeatable Gunther, and proving to himself that he is a star. And as I mentioned, if he did that, it would be his first singles pay per view win in almost 3 years. So
Yeah,
that's the match I want.
there was like a tweet or something joking. Yeah, like you mentioned, Sami Zayn hasn't won a singles match since June of 2021. Has been on this like who knows how many matches losing streak, and then we were like, oh yeah, high time for him to win a title. But I'm like, well, yeah, that's WWE booking, so makes sense.
Well, I mean, and uh, I shared a graphic with you the other day. Solo Sikoa is 0-23 since beating John Cena. Why do they do this all the time? Why do we have to get behind somebody because they lose all the time? Am I supposed to be sympathetic towards somebody because they lose all the time? I don't want to be sympathetic towards that person. I want to care about somebody who wins. I want to care about somebody who proves that they belong, not somebody who loses all the time and then just gets a random title
It's
match and then
so
just randomly
like
wins.
it's so interesting that you would just last fall or so. It was like Solo Sikoa was the guy who just destroyed John Cena, the great John Cena, and now he's on this like match losing streak. I was like, what
Yeah,
happened?
yeah.
You pushed the guy like to that point where you hadn't beat the 16-time world heavyweight champion.
And I feel like it's the same thing with Sami Zayn. It's like we know how good Sami Zayn is. You don't need us to get behind him by making him lose all the time. We are already behind him. We already care. He doesn't need to lose every single match all the time. And then just have one defining moment and then continue to lose again. That's ridiculous. Nobody wants that. So yeah, I think out of the three, that's the one I think that obviously if it can't be Big E, I want it to be Sami Zayn.
So I don't want to burst a bubble here, and this might not matter. Apparently Braun Breaker on SmackDown tonight signed with SmackDown,
Okay, so then that's not happening.
so the Intercontinental title match is not happening.
All right,
U.S.
then
a potential U.S. title match could
well,
possibly happen.
I
I
mean
mean,
I have something down for that, so I might have to add
oh,
him into it.
okay then. Yeah, you might want
Um,
to.
so well, I guess we'll segue right into that, right? So my idea what originally I think everybody kind of expected that it would be Logan Paul defending against LA Knight. I Everybody I think was putting that out there and expecting it to happen because everybody believes, and I agree, that LA Knight deserves his moment in the sun to shine and to have a championship. And um but now I think they're going to do a ladder match, a multi-band ladder match for this championship. And I have 6 guys down, but I guess we could throw Braun Breaker in there now. So I have LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa, and Rey Mysterio. Um, so Obviously, we don't know if Rey Mysterio is going to be ready for WrestleMania. I mean, I hope he is, but I kind of don't want to see just a Santos versus Rey Mysterio match on WrestleMania. Even though it would make the most sense, I feel like you could save that for something else. Um, and I have another luchador singles match that I'm going to talk about later. Um, but yeah, I think having these guys and I guess include Braun Breaker as the seventh because it would just make the most sense, I guess. Um, Kevin Owens and Logan Paul, I guess, are not finished. Obviously, they're going to be in this chamber match together. Santos and Ray are obviously going to feud. We obviously don't know if Ray will be ready, but hopefully he is. Solo Sikoa should be on the card and not just in Roman's corner. And LA Knight should be the guy to win. Um, and Logan Paul should never hold a championship ever again. Because having two part-time champions on the same exact show is just dumb.
Well, now that you said it, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. They're going to bring in Jake Paul, and the Paul brothers are going to win the tag team titles at some point.
Ugh. Why would you even put that out there?
I'm just imagining the Paul brothers holding up both those titles.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, I heard speculation of the Paul brothers versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as a match on WrestleMania, and I don't want to see that either. At all.
To be honest, I don't mind Logan Paul wrestling. I just want Logan Paul's stupid podcast friends or his lackeys from whatever fuck projects he's working on, like these outside people I've never seen before, jump in and give him like brass knuckles or scissors or like
Yeah.
taser guns or some stupid shit like that. Like that's
Well, I mean, in a ladder match, you could do that endlessly.
yeah, but I don't like these guys coming in here like just interfering. I don't know. I've never had a big problem with outside celebrity people coming in to do a thing at like WrestleMania,
Yeah.
but something about Logan Paul's like lackeys just kind of annoys me a bit. Like I don't even remember the last
Well,
guy.
because you have an outside guy who's not a wrestler, who just happens to be a good athlete, who is a champion, and shouldn't be a champion, and you got these random people that most wrestling fans don't know just showing up and helping him. Nobody cares about that because nobody cares about those people. I don't care about KSI. I don't care about any whoever that guy was that showed up at the last two pay-per-view matches. I don't care to see that ever. So doing it repeatedly does not make me want to see it. I mean, I don't want to see Logan Paul ever. So that's besides the point. Because I don't care how good of an athlete he is. He's a shit person. I don't care how quickly he picked it up. He's a horrible human being. So I hope that LA Knight wins the US Championship, whether it's in this. And if it's in this type of match, a ladder match, I would be fine with that. And then that way it makes everybody kind of look good and everybody have their moment to shine. I mean, if Braun Breaker's in there, he could possibly win, but it should be LA Knight. LA Knight deserves it. So the next match, I kind of teased this before. So I talked about how I don't want Santos and Ray to have a singles match because I have another idea for a special singles match that should be on WrestleMania, and that is Andrade versus Dragon Lee. Andrade is back and has not wrestled since the Rumble. And Dragon Lee is already kind of making his name for himself. So having these two guys showcase their abilities against each other, two guys that have formerly been part of some version of LIJ. Um,
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I wonder how, with this new way WWE acknowledges like outside stuff, I wonder how they'll bring that up. But
yeah,
I hope like Dragon Lee's main roster run stays permanent this time because they had him as North American champion for like a cup of coffee after he
and
was already drafted to SmackDown.
oh well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, like
Yeah, so I want to see this match for obvious reasons.
yeah,
We know that they will put on a great match. We know that they'll absolutely kill it and make people who aren't fans of them already even want to see them. And who would win? I would think it would be Andrade, but because Dragon Lee, I I mean he doesn't need it right now. Andrade just came back, and I think you want to reestablish him as a top star because he is one. And yeah, I just think it would be a great showcase match to have on WrestleMania. Um, to get people talking, to get people excited, and yeah, I would love to see it.
one other thing
So-
with Andrade and Dragon Lee is you predict Andrade winning,
yes.
and I'm wondering if that is because of he beat Dragon Lee on his own, or is he going to get a little assist from his old friend Selena Vega?
Um.
Frankly, I always found it strange that they signed him to Raw, and then the only time he acknowledged her was, "Oh yeah, say hello to Selena for me over on SmackDown." I'm
I
like,
mean, it's possible, but she's with LWO, so
yeah, but is she really like relevant in that group right now? I mean,
well, that group is not relevant until Rey Mysterio comes back.
yeah. I mean, Selena's face run has been pretty nice. Like they had her have a title
Well,
match at Rhea in Puerto Rico, and I
yeah,
understand why. They played on her like ties there, and about how like she
yeah,
had a she had tragedy in her life which she overcame. But I always liked the Selena with Andrade, the one where she was La Mueca, and he was like,
hmm
and they were like the perfect duel together. And then it was like I kind of
yeah,
missed that a little bit since he came back. I mean,
yeah. I
unless they want
kind
to,
of
unless the crazy thing is they want to pair Andrade with Charlotte for some reason. Well, not for some
well,
reason, for obvious reasons. Unless they're
yes,
going in
they're
that direction. But I
well.
was
Charlotte's not due back for a long time, so
well, if she's well, based on what she said recently on publicly, that her rehab is actually ahead of schedule. So they may not have her wrestle, but it'd be
yeah.
interesting to see her as like a manager role or sort of like just the
hmm
kind of outside
Yeah,
person supporting her husband, that kind of thing.
yeah. I guess that would be
But
interesting.
yeah, I think it'd just be cool if they had like an Andrade Selena reunion or something.
Yeah, I think that they should keep her out of that because I think she would be overshadowed, and you don't really. She's better than that now. She's a pretty good wrestler. So, um, all right. So going off of that, so we talked about these two guys. Well, we talked about one of them not really having anything to do, and that's Randy Orton. Um, another guy that doesn't really have a lot going on right now, but is on his own again and no longer part of the OC is AJ Styles. So these guys have faced each other at WrestleMania before. They faced each other at WrestleMania 35, I believe. Um, but the dynamic is very different now. AJ Styles is kind of a heel now, and we kind of don't really know what's going on with him. He's kind of just disowning all of his friends and doing his
Well,
own
for those who
thing.
watch the original TNA wrestling, this is the AJ Styles kind of loner run from like I would want to say early
2013.
2013. When
Yeah.
he came back and was wearing this black hood and was in a moody state. It was almost like Sting, like Crow Sting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know beyond that. I don't know what the context behind that was. I think that was a way for him to get back to the world title in TNA at that point. But yeah,
Mhm.
when I saw him do that in the last couple of weeks, I was like, oh, looks like they are diving back in the into the old drawing board and coming up with old ideas and making them new again. So yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
he's currently on some kind of like thing where he's disowning his friends in the OC. Who, by the way, since Anderson and Gallows came back, I'm sorry to say they haven't really hold their
well,
weight.
they're gonna be on NXT next week.
Oh, they are. Okay, that's
Yeah.
well, that would be a good place for them to revitalize their careers.
To
I would
actually
say,
do something.
yeah. Meanwhile, Mia Yim or Michin is actually doing a lot more on her own than.
Yes. Well, and she's a great wrestler, and they just don't do anything with her ever. It's so weird. But yeah, I think you got to have these two on the card, and I think it just makes sense. You need Randy Orton to be doing something at WrestleMania, and AJ Styles. I mean, again, if you wanted to, you could throw him into the U.S. title picture, but yeah, the direction for both of these guys doesn't really seem very clear right now. And obviously, they were in that fatal four way at the Rumble. Um, so yeah, I'd be fine with them just having another match. They haven't faced each other in a really long time. So I'd be cool with it. Just to have another like big name match on the card. Um all right, so next up for the tag team championships. So Judgment Day has been on this run for a while since they randomly beat Owens and Zayn, and I think that time is coming up. Um, I think that obviously people are talking about this R-Truth stuff, and I obviously I don't care about it at all, but it's leading to something, and I think it's probably leading to him and unfortunately Miz winning the tag team titles. But I don't think that it's going to be a standard 2-on-2 match because that cannot be the tag team title match at WrestleMania. It just can't. It just can't.
Oh man, I think I mentioned this to you offline a few weeks ago that I was predicting this would happen. Now, yeah,
Well, I
let's
had
back up a
down.
bit. Let's back up a bit and talk about what happened. So, our truth, since like post war games, thinks he's in the Judgment Day and has been in a state of self delusion, just hanging around in the Judgment Day's locker room and just being part of Judgment Day. And he's obviously annoying existing members of Judgment Day, but he did demonstrate that there was some value to him falsely believing he's in Judgment Day. After all, he managed to sell a lot of merch, probably better than actual members of the Judgment Day. So Damian Priest got his cut. Finn Balor got his cut. He was very happy about that. I think even Dirty Dom got his cut. The only one who's not happy is JD McDonough, who R-Truth not only says he's part of Judgment Day, but because of that, JD isn't. And so they spent weeks and weeks and weeks. Meanwhile, the Miz is inserted himself into this because Miz is a babyface now. Um, so there was this thing where it's like R-Truth thinks he's teaming with the Judgment Day, but he's also teaming with the Miz. And it was like watching them in tag matches where R-Truth seems to be playing both sides. And so finally, all of this was like, even I mean, admittedly, Damian Priest was actually sympathetic towards this. He was like, "Hey, Truth, look, you're really funny, man. I really like you, but you're not in the Judgment Day." So finally, they beat the crap out of R-Truth, and then I think at this point, as we're speaking, R-Truth has finally figured it out that he is not in the Judgment Day.
Well,
Um,
no, he hasn't, because
what?
on SmackDown, which
Oh,
I saw a clip on Twitter,
oh
on
boy.
SmackDown, he came out during Dom versus Kevin Owens, and Dom told him, "If you help me beat Kevin Owens, you'll be in the Judgment Day." And he actually did that, but Dom did not win. And now Dom is teaming with R-Truth next week on SmackDown.
What? Against who?
I don't even remember.
Oh my god, hold on. Let me see if I find something to find this. I am not pulling up
But
anything, but yeah, okay. Dominic was R-Truth. Maybe I just Google R-Truth, see what comes up. So let me get this straight. They beat the shit out of him and they say you're not in the Judgment Day to now like, yeah, hey, you help me win, you'll be in the Judgment Day.
yeah,
Yeah, somebody. I'm just reading some guy on Twitter saying, so R-Truth gets his shit kicked in, and he's back in to helping. Oh, this is getting a little played out, to be honest. Yeah,
getting played out. Getting played out.
this is getting a little played out, tbh.
It's been played out since day one.
Okay, yeah, maybe this guy
Um,
wasn't paying attention, but
but
yeah,
regardless of all of that,
yeah.
I cannot, in conscious mind, just put down Judgment Day versus Awesome Truth as the tag title match. I can't do it. I just can't.
You need to
So
insert a few more teams just to like make it a fair fight, I guess.
well, what I put down was a gauntlet match.
Ah, okay.
And I also included DIY, Pretty Deadly, Theory and Waller, and the newly named team of Dunn and Bate. They are now known as New Catch Republic.
What?
That is their name.
What was wrong with British strong style? New
Um,
New Catch Republic. So
yes,
NCR. Maybe,
yes,
yeah. Oh, what the hell?
yes. That is their name. But yes, that is the match that I put down
Wow.
at
This is some Vince McMahon level booking shit right here.
because like I said, I just can't have all of these great tag teams on the roster and your only tag title match is with Miz and R-Truth. I just can't. I can't. It it, it
remember remember a few years ago when Miz and Shane McMahon won the tag team titles?
no. No I don't.
Oh my, and then the Miz and when John Morrison came back, they won the tag team titles too. But I don't think that was at WrestleMania.
Uh-huh.
And then now a few years later, Miz and R-Truth are gonna win the tag team titles.
Yeah. So,
But when you look at it, nobody no team. There are a lot of teams, which is great for in comparison to having like almost no tag division a few years ago.
yes.
But right now, those two are the only ones that make sense. No, no,
Obviously, you
neither.
could also slot in Imperium if you want. You could also slot in New Day. You could do anything, but you can't have all of these tag teams and just have Awesome Truth go for the tag titles. That is not WrestleMania to me. Um, it just isn't. That it doesn't feel like a WrestleMania match because it's not a WrestleMania match at all.
Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, this is like just having Miz and R-Truth win on a one-on-one match against like two of the probably the roughest guys in the tag division now, Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
It's almost akin to the Bar a few years back, Cesaro and Sheamus losing the tag titles to Braun Strowman and a 10-year-old child.
Yep.
That level of crap.
WWE's in, I mean, obviously that was Vince, so Vince has never cared about tag team wrestling, and probably still doesn't. But thankfully, he doesn't
Yeah.
matter
We
anymore
should just make a quick note that WrestleMania 40 is the first WrestleMania with no actual McMahon being involved at all,
at all.
whether
Um,
backstage or on screen.
yes. So yeah, I who wins? I think obviously Awesome Truth is probably going to win, which it is what it is because that's the story. But I just can't, in good conscience, only have R-Truth and The Miz as the tag team to challenge the tag team champions. When you have so many good tag teams that are actual tag teams. So, and obviously they could do what they did last year, which is just have random fatal four-way tag team matches for no reason at all, which they did on both nights with men and women. Um, but yeah,
I'm curious, like, so they've had these unified WWE tag team titles for a while, but they're still like the Raw and SmackDown titles, like 4 belts basically.
they need to change those belts.
Yeah, either like make them defend one of them and then put one back on the other brand, or just like make one set of titles. Because at this point, like your tag division is
Yeah,
split across both brands, right? So why are
yeah.
we having
Also,
titles still for
it's
each person?
just like you have all of these great tag teams, DIY, freaking, I guess, New Catch Republic. I'm never gonna get used to calling them that. Um, and
That might have been
even
a trade-off to get Pete Dunne's name back. Okay, yeah, you can be Pete Dunne again,
sure.
but you just
I
can't
mean,
use.
even Alpha Academy is better than Miz and R Truth. Like, because you got Chad Gable, who's amazing, and then
Yeah,
you got Otis, who is really not that bad in the ring. They just make him look like an idiot every chance they get.
yeah. Even the Creeds have been
Oh,
incredibly
I
impressive.
forgot. I even forgot them.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Creeds.
You like, yeah, the Creed brothers. The former Diamond Mine. These guys have been just ripping the tag division to shreds. Like,
They will
and
be in the if they do a
they
match
will
like
be in the
this.
mix forever for a long time.
They will be in the match if they do like. Obviously, I have no idea if any of this is going to happen. I'm just making predictions of what I want to see,
Yeah, of course,
honestly.
of course.
But
We're just two fans shooting the shit, and we have,
yeah,
you know,
but obviously they would be in there as well.
yeah.
And I also didn't mention earlier when we talked about the world heavyweight title. I think that the Judgment Day is going to lose the tag titles before the World Heavyweight Championship match, and I think Damian Priest is going to cash in and win
Hmm.
at WrestleMania.
But you mentioned that it was going to be Drew and Seth facing each other, right? So if Drew
Yes,
wins and Drew's gonna get cashed in on by Damian Priest,
yeah,
or is
because the
Damian gonna
because the
insert himself and make it a triple threat? Because that's also
he
an
could
option.
insert himself in the match, but he could also take the championship from Drew after the match and uh, have like the entire Judgment Day gang up on Drew.
Possible, or this could be
But
like a Raw after Mania thing. Or we also are noticing that Damian Priest is getting close to coming up to the 1 year mark of him becoming Senior Money in the Bank.
well, and
Um,
we have talked about the idea of like there's never been a Money in the Bank person who's held the thing for the entire year and then they had like a deadline.
yeah,
So you could do something like that where it's the next year's Money in the Bank and he hasn't cashed in yet. And obviously he has to cash in before the men's Money in the Bank match.
the scenario that's just playing out in my mind is so insane. It's like, so Money in Bank's gonna be in Toronto this year.
Hmm.
Um, let's just say that is the that Money in the Bank here is going to be the deadline for Priest to cash in.
Well, of
We
course.
have a men's Money in the Bank ladder match into 2024. Whoever wins that, let's just say it's not Priest, because you could probably imagine Priest enters that match and it ends up with 2 briefcases, or I don't think that's gonna be happening. That's just too crazy.
No.
You have a winner for the 2024 briefcase, and you still have Priest, who still has the 2023 briefcase. Imagine you had a world title match that night, and you have 2 guys rushing in trying to cash in.
Yeah.
And you just turn that into a fatal 4-way or something.
So yeah, but I still think that they're gonna do something at Mania with
Yeah.
him finally cashing, because
My
he's
my
been saying in interviews that right now that he can't cash in because
right,
Seth is hurt.
yeah.
And if Seth is finally going to
That would,
wrestle, that's his chance.
yeah, so that throws a wrench into the whole prediction of Drew beating Seth for the title and having this run.
Yeah, but
until
we'll see
CM
how that
Punk
goes.
Yeah, we'll see
We'll see how that
very
goes.
interesting stuff to look at.
All right, so I have a couple other matches that I put down just to make this a full card. Last year's WrestleMania had 15 matches, so I put down 14. So I got 3 more. The next one I put down is just a multi-person match. Obviously, they still have this thing going on Smackdown with the Final Testament and the Pride, which are both horrible names, by the way.
I don't know why nobody looked at Bobby Lashley and Tez and Dawkins and then go, "Oh yeah, the Almighty Prophets." There you go.
Exactly.
Oh my
Exactly. So I think they'll do a multi-person match, probably a 6-man, or you can include the women and make it a mixed 8 person. But I think they're gonna do that. I don't expect it to be like a singles match of just Cross and Lashley or whatever. Just include all of them. It just makes the most sense. This feud doesn't really matter, so it is what it is. But ending it at WrestleMania would be the best thing for everybody involved.
I feel like Paul Ellering needs like some kind of gimmick weapon to make himself useful in this group, because it's like Cross and AOP,
because he's
which
just
is more than enough. Cross and AOP, more than enough, obviously. Physical,
and because you already got Scarlett there.
Yeah, Scarlett is gonna counter. She's the female counter to whatever female is in the other side, right? But I think Paul Ellering needs like a cattle prod or something.
BFAB.
Yeah, BFAB. Yeah, Scarlett will fight BFAB, but I think like Ellering needs to have like some kind of taser or a stun gun or like a cattle prod or something to just kind of jab people with. It's like to give his guys the advantage, right? But anyway.
Yeah, so this match will be whatever it is. I mean, you got AOP and Street Profits in there, so you got that could be great. But Lashley, I don't know. Karrion Kross is just not hitting for whatever. No matter what they do with him, they try to make him into like this brooding, like intimidating guy who plays mind games, and people just don't care.
So the stuff. Yeah, first of all, yeah, I have to agree. The hair is not a good fit.
I don't care about the hair. It don't matter.
He needs to go back to just shaving it bald because it just looks really odd. But I know it's me being petty, but still, yeah. All he does now is just say, everybody who's faced me or has been touched by me has changed forever. Nakamura, Drew, Rey Mysterio, yeah, all these people, they said that they've basically done a heel turn since getting running across from him to him. So
I took Rey Mysterio's humility
or some crap like that.
Some stupid shit. I don't even know.
Shinsuke's honor. I took Drew's virtue or whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea. But either way, I just think that they've been doing this thing. I mean, I haven't been watching it. I've been seeing the clips, but they've been doing this thing for a while. They haven't had the match, so have the match and get it over with and move on to something else. All right. So the last two matches that I have down are both women's matches. The first one, the women's tag team championships. So originally, I was thinking that Bianca should team with somebody, preferably either Jade or Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually have Jade and Bianca in a singles match. And for the tag team titles, I think you can do kind of the same deal: is have a gauntlet match, and you can even include some NXT teams if you want, because there's a lot of women's tag teams now. Um, I mean, obviously you've got Chance and Carter, who just lost the belts, but you can just throw them in there anyway. Um, you could put Mia Yim with somebody if you want. You could put Naomi with somebody. You could bring back Beth Phoenix if you want. Put her with Natty. Um, something. I can't. I mean, you still have Natty teaming with Tegan, but that team Natty has had more partners than I can count. It's so weird.
Tegan and Natty to me never made much sense.
Yeah,
And I could think of like at least 2 or 3 other people that could be for Tegan's partner. One,
yeah.
Shotzi. Unfortunately, Shotzi blew out her knee recently, so
Oh
she's
yeah.
out for a while. So the other one I
Yes,
would think is Dakota Kai.
of course.
Yeah, just
And of
because.
course you have
Yeah,
yeah, of course you have Shayna and Zoe. You have I mean, you could put Naya with somebody if you want. I mean, I don't know who you would do. Tamina, Naya and Tamina. But Tamina doesn't even wrestle full time anymore. It feels like I can't remember the last time I saw Tamina.
oh yeah, where is she? Like, I mean, like, if you needed a woman that could be part of doing some bloodline stuff, like she's standing right there. So it's like,
Uh, yeah, and you got the Unholy Alliance. Those two are around.
yeah, yeah, I know it's unholy something. I don't know if it's
Was
unholy
it
alliance.
Unholy Alliance or
I think it's like the
Unholy?
unholy union.
Oh yeah, that's it. Unholy Union. That's the
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
But they're fine.
yeah.
Um,
I get what you're saying. We can have a gauntlet match for the
yeah, it's
women's
the same
tag
deals.
title.
Do something where you
Yeah,
where
like
you make
put
the
some
tag titles
NXT teams
matter.
on there because, like you said, that they unified the NXT women's titles from both sides. So it's like, why are
Yeah,
NXT women not getting a
but
shot?
and there's just a lot of great talent. I mean, you still have Indian Candice. You still have yeah. There's so many. There's so much talent that you can just have on. I mean, if you don't want Naomi to be in this match, obviously, if she's doing what we talked about earlier with her husband, um, but yeah, there's a lot of great tag teams that deserve an opportunity. Obviously, all of these tag teams have gotten opportunities recently and lost, except for Indy and Candice. But yeah, I think that makes the most sense. And then, like, as I mentioned, I think Bianca was on course to face Charlotte 1-on-1 for no title, and obviously we Charlotte's going to be out for a long time, so we had Jade debut at the Rumble, and her and Bianca had like a face off of the two strongest women kind of thing, and it would just make the most sense to have them face each other. Now, obviously, the question is, do you want Jade's first singles match to be on the biggest stage? Because you want to make sure that she's ready. Because when she was in AEW, she was mostly on Rampage, which was taped. She maybe had like one or two matches on Dynamite, and they were never good because there was no editing. um, so yeah, you obviously need her to be ready to have a match with somebody like Bianca, um, which I think Bianca could bring that out of her. It would just it would be a it would be a spectacle of a match, I think, that people would be talking about. Especially if Jade looks good in the match, and um yeah, I think down the line you could do something where they team together, but I don't think that they should be teaming right away. Because if you have them just facing the Kabuki Warriors by themselves, then they're going to win, of course, because you don't have the match and not have them win. But then you're not showcasing all the other talent, which is the biggest issue in WWE. So I always want to showcase as much people as possible instead of just doing the match that would make the most sense business wise. Because obviously putting Jade in a tag match hides whatever she's not ready to do. But I think Bianca could get a good singles match out of her.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much that's everything that I put down. Like I said, last year WrestleMania had like 15 matches if you count the Miz matches. So I didn't want to like go too far into like 16 or 17 matches. So I put down a good 14 matches, and I'm pretty sure you'll have something along that. You know, you have like 7 matches on night 1, or 8 matches on night 1 and 7 matches on night 2, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's WrestleMania. It's going to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time, the 40th one. It'll be the first time in pretty much ever, unless something changes, where the world title at an anniversary show, at a 10th anniversary show, doesn't have 3 competitors. Because at 10 you had 3 people competing for it in 2 different matches, and then 20 you had a triple threat, and 30 you had a triple threat. So unless something changes, I don't think we're going to have any kind of triple threat at this one. But yeah, I'm excited about it. Excited for Cody to finish the story more than anything.
Please.
I want to smack anybody who suggests that Seth should cost him the match.
So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit before we wrap up here. Yeah, Seth on this past Raw, as we were recording, came up to Cody and said that he will back him up, and said if anybody's more qualified to be a shield for you, Cody, it's me.
Get it?
Yeah, get it. Oh yeah, wink, wink. For those of us who totally forgot, Seth and Roman, and along with John Moxley / Dean Ambrose, the original members of Shield. Yeah.
So as soon as this promo happened, people were saying, "Oh, Seth is going to cost him the title, isn't he?"
Yeah. Hey, everybody, remember it was Seth who cracked the Shield in the first place?
If that happens, I will not watch WWE for a long time. I will cut off all WWE. I won't even watch Raw. If
It's
that
like
happens,
it wouldn't even make any sense at this point. Like I mean, it's on par with not making sense of the whole Jimmy and Jay turning on Roman, and then Jimmy going back to Roman. Why? And then it's like Seth had all these issues with Roman in the past. I mean, I still
and
remember.
he's the only person that Roman couldn't beat.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, they faced each other in like the Elimination Chamber or the Royal Rumble. I think it was the Royal Rumble in a singles match.
Yeah.
And Seth was like psyching Roman out by like dressing in old Shield gear. And Roman,
but
that was like the one match where Roman didn't pin the guy. He had to.
But also, Roman's never beaten Seth ever.
Yeah, like you go back to like Money in the Bank 2000. What was it like 16? 2016?
Yeah, that's when
Seth and Roman faced each other. Seth actually beat Roman before Moxley cashed in on him.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like Why you want to go help the guy that you
And again,
have
if Seth
problems?
isn't if Seth
Yeah.
isn't healthy, there's no
There's
reason
no
to
point to
do
keep
any.
him on TV post Mania in some kind of heel storyline. For all
And
the
and
fact,
again,
yeah,
it goes back to what we talked about last episode. Not a single person wants to see Cody versus Seth ever again. We've seen it. We've seen it 3 times, and Cody won every time. And the
and the
last
last time he had wrestled with a torn pec and still won the damn thing.
he wrestled with a purple titty, and he's
in the Hell in a Cell, by the way.
and he still won.
Yeah,
So that's
like if you haven't
enough.
proven yourself, it's like yeah. So 2 guys that Cody Rhodes should never wrestle again, probably in our lifetimes at least. Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar.
And after
And
this,
one of
Roman
them is
Reigns.
not going to be around in the foreseeable future. So,
And
and Roman Reigns,
after
yeah,
after this, Roman Reigns. I don't need to see that match ever again. And if they do some kind of bullshit where Cody does not win, if they do a dusty finish, if they do anything that results in Roman walking out of that show with that championship, not only is every single person in the world going to be upset, it might cost them the most viewers they've ever lost ever if they do that.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, WWE is such a massive meat giant. It's like they could put on like literal person taking a dump on a woman's head and they'll still watch it. Sorry,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
it's
it,
like,
it
but yeah,
it's beyond the point of doing it for shock value.
yeah, because at
That
this point we are shocked enough. We just want to see what we want to see as the fucking fans that pay for your
this
product.
isn't this is not Bianca and Becky. This is not you can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
no.
You just can't. Cody needs to win. Needs to.
Otherwise, you just wasted his time for nothing.
Wasted a whole year. You wasted a whole year if Cody does not win this match. So, all right. So that's all I got to say about WrestleMania 40. We'll see how it goes.
Yep. And with that, well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. WrestleMania is going to be on Saturday, April the 6th and 7th in
Sunday.
Philadelphia. Yes, and Sunday in Philadelphia. Mike just gave you his predictions. We'll see how things unfold in the next month and a half. If any of these predictions come true, if even just the book matches that get booked come true, I think we will be halfway there. But yeah,
Sure.
overall, yeah, Cody needs to finish this goddamn story. Otherwise, we're done.
At the end of the day, that is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, and with that, we are now going to sign off from SLTD Going Over Big Time podcast.
Yes. And make sure to follow us at Go Big Time Pod, and go to our linktree / Going Over Big Time podcast, where you can get all the ways to watch and listen to this show, as well as our social medias, and Tanner, who will be back eventually. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, everybody. See you later.